let's see. Okay. Hey guys. Hey, hold on one second. I'm trying to get reacclimated with reality here. Whatever that means. Means different things to different people, I think. Okay, there we go. Now this one could come down a bit. What's going on? Okay. I think it's fine. I'm not gonna fuss with it. Hey guys, yeah, we're back to can you hear me? Is the sound is okay? Yeah. Let's see. Infinite One, Doc Ghost 84, Linda, Catfish Customs, Rick, Howard, Adam, Richard, Awakened One, Tracy, Donald Woods, Tom, Raven, Infinite One again, Debbie, Tony P, oi oi. Yeah, man, Mr. Faith. Hey, Mr. Faith. Honey, Tanya Honey, good to see you. Nancy, Jessica, T. Miller. Okay, guys. All right, so good. We got this. We're back. We're back and we're back in bed. I'm not totally crazy about the sound. Let me just see what's going on here. Okay. Better? Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay. All right, we got the monitors up. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're back. We're back from Mexico. I this is way out of my comfort zone was to go to Mexico, but I won a free trip and I actually did it. I'm proud of myself for pushing through. There were some crazy moments there. I mean, it's a long deal to plan a trip. I mean, the airline and the this and the that's and you're packing, but at the end of the day, it's not really so horrible. I mean, I think the benefit far outweighs the just the things that are difficult. But so I've been yeah, we're back. I've been thinking about some new different things, and Gila's been feeding me some really great info. I'm also exhausted from traveling. I got up at I think I left the hotel at 3:45 this morning, but I did get to nap a bit on the plane. But there are a lot of there's several thought streams floating through my whatever is cognitive reality. I on the plane it was a long flight from Mexico City to New York, so I searched their movie catalog and I eventually picked on The Matrix. I figured I mean I can't watch things that are not somewhat instructive. Like I couldn't really enjoy just like an action thing or maybe a comedy. Maybe what happened? Wait a minute. There we go. Okay, we're back. Anyway, but I did enjoy The Matrix, and I know that The Matrix is a very important film in terms of consciousness. And I saw it before I became religious. I knew that I wasn't going to be indulging in many movies in at that after I went to yeshiva. So the last movie I saw with my holy father was and mother was The Matrix. Yeah, I think it was just the three of us. We're in Cape Cod and we went to see The Matrix. And my father was just like, "Oh, this is just terrible. It's so violent. It's crazy." But I think I really understood it, and I seeing it again, I understand it a lot better. Like, when does Neo become the one? When he totally is able to not be influenced by the Matrix, when he's just, he, and it was love. It's love at the end that really connects him. It was the love of the woman. He had like left his body, had left his mind had left his body, but it was the love of the woman that kept him in the body, and he got up and he defeated the enemy. But it's all a matter of us believing in what's real. So those of us on the channel, those of us in the I'm going to still call it the Kabbalah Guru family, that those of us in the family that have been here a while, we understand the concept of a matrix, and we understand that it's a quantum world, that our thoughts manifest. I mean, if you like, I mean, I've done it a million times. I've done the experiment, so you could save yourself, or you could do it yourself. Try getting in a really bad mood, try getting into a really bad fear space, and see how your day goes. It's as simple as that. But then you have to just, in order to get out of that kind of a thing, one way to get out, and there are probably a zillion different ways, but one way is just like, for me, I just take a deep breath and I say, look, man, I'm not really into this like having a horrendous day business. I want to have a nice day, and I reset myself, like Joe Dispenza talks about how he resets himself. If he goes into a mood, he'll go back into his office and say, I can't talk right now. I'll be out in a half hour or whatever. But this is a very important concept, that we create the reality, and that's what the Matrix is all about. And the dudes, they want to own us, and they do own us, and they have been using us as slaves. But the more we wake up, the less power and the less control they have over us. So, I was thinking, during my trip, you know, what if we just stopped interacting with them and just said, I'm out, man. I mean, um, it would not be nice of me to tell other people to do that, but I mean, I kind of do that myself. I'm figuring out ways to have less contact with them on a financial basis. So in other words, I'm trying to bring in Nasara Jasara in my own life before it's actually announced to the world. And I think that's important, and I think that's a good strat. I mean, for me, it's a good strategy. I don't know. Now, I also want to touch this before I get to the intel. I want to touch on, like, that's this. I want to touch upon the idea that some people just don't get it, and they're not bad people necessarily. Sometimes they could be. It could be if they take their thought stream and use it to bash others that have a more matrix consciousness. That could be problematic. I mean, and Gil and I were discussing something like that. That the person just has a kind of a critical mindset and he won't let it go. But I was, I had the experience today. I was like, this was the overall experience that I had when I first got to Mexico. When I first got to the hotel, I was still like Ellie Weber, the YouTube dude, and I was still like telling people, the Great Awakening is coming, and I was making a lot of speeches and all this nonsense. And then I just kind of like, that aspect of me sort of dissolved away. And as I was on vacation, I wasn't broadcasting as much. I just fell back into like, let's just be here now. Let's just, be with ourselves, and try to navigate through this experience, which is what I did. I mean, it was challenging. I had food issues because of the kosher problem, and I dealt with them in the best way that I felt that I could. There were other issues. It was just, the idea that I was on vacation by myself was a little bit. I mean, most people were kind of like there with someone, so I was, it was. But I met a lot of people to talk to, and I made some friends. Certainly, the ASEA people I found to be very down to earth and nice. And I went to a couple of SIA meetings, and the um, the CEO Tyler Norton was saying some beautiful things. He was saying that, like, at the end of the day, it's all about compassion. It's not about making money. It's about, like, can you do nice things for people? Did you help somebody today? And I really resonate with these people. They're really just kind of like, they were doers and movers. To succeed in the business takes a certain kind of a mindset, and these were people who had won this prize, so they were the successful ones in the business, or some of them. But I don't know, it was a really enriching experience. I really had a good time all in all, and I got to do some swimming. But the idea of, like, getting away from the mindset of, like, I have to tell the world right now what's going on, into, like, let's just try to get through the day, and take a little bit of a time out, which I knew that I needed. And I think this is another instructive thing that I'm going to throw in, that I've realized before. Many years ago, I was in Nashville, and I had my own. I was renting an apartment. It was a pretty good deal, as I remember. And somehow, I didn't have a lot going on. I was kind of like in between. I was in between wives. I was in between jobs, maybe. And I was just, like, chilling, and I felt kind of guilty about it. Like, why am I not producing something? And I got the message that, enjoy it, because yeah, pretty soon you're going to be busy. And I was, and I am. And I think that, like, when God gifts you with a little bit of downtime, that you should take advantage of it, and not think of it as, like, okay, now I'm just going to chill, but that I'm going to chill with the idea that when I come back to producing, when I'm back in the saddle again, that I will produce with a renewed vigor, as a result of the experience of having a little bit of downtime. So I think it's sometimes hard to remember, like, when you get incredible synchronicity or divine providence, and things happen to you that are just magical. That's a very good time to, like, check in with God. It's easy to check in with God. It's easy to say, that was such a godly thing that just happened to me right now. I was thinking about it, and then here it is. This person comes up to me and just starts talking about it. But to have that same kind of enthusiasm and gratitude when things aren't necessarily going in a way that you can really understand, like, it doesn't make sense to you. Why am I experiencing this? Why am I experiencing that? Like, I experienced, like, some moments of real shyness. I just felt, once I left, Ellie Weber, the YouTube dude, and I just was myself, I was kind of like a little bit uncomfortable in my own skin, kind of like I was going back to the way I used to be. And I just had to say, look, let's kind of just go with it. Let's just, if that's the space I find myself in, let's just appreciate it. And it's not the end of the world. And after a while, I just, like, said, well, let's just go back to the room. And the room was very beautiful. It looked over the ocean, very much like this. And I said, look, if you're feeling a little shy, let's just be shy. And it was, um I think it was rewarding, all in all. But let's go back to the Matrix. So I did see the Matrix today, and it's a very powerful thing. And in the end, the only way to really overcome is by, manifesting, is by knowing who you are and what you're capable of, and allowing that to rule over this situation. So I'm having a little bit of a discussion, really, within my own mind, about how is this great awakening going to take place. And I had a very nice conversation today, on the plane. I was sitting next to a woman, and we started talking, and I started telling her about, I kind of didn't really want to talk too much, but I felt towards the end of the flight, I said, I should say something to this person. I mean, she was an intelligent, bright person, and I should say something about, what I believe is coming. So I did, and I kind of outlined what was coming, and she looked at me and kind of, she was like trying to take it in, but I could tell at the end of the day, it really didn't resonate with her, and I don't know how that's going to look. When I mean, here was a person that really lived a very nice life. She was obviously a successful person. Her husband was successful, and she talked about how he would go out on his fishing boat, and that he had a really, just had a really nice life. But she couldn't really. I mean, she had a very different slant on politics, and maybe she just doesn't even go. Probably she doesn't even really consider it that much. And so, how is somebody who's that's fireworks, somebody who's really outside of this struggle, how are they going to transition, or are they even going to transition? Maybe, if it is truly a quantum universe, it could be that she will just continue resonating with with a beautiful life that she has, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But those of us here, um, I told her about. I'm answering Karen's thing. I told her that that there could be a war, and if you hear of a war, it's not going to be really what it is, and that we're in kind of a movie to wake people up. And then I asked her about, what do you think of the president? And she said, "Well, I like him a lot better than the last one." And that just, I mean, you know, what do you say to that? I mean, it's just like, okay, that's just, and she was, I'm not saying, you know, I don't want to judge people. I don't want to say, well, what's wrong with her? Why can't she wake up? It's just where she is. So I don't know if it is truly a quantum world. And they say that this world is unusual because we have choice here. So it could be that everyone's going to get to choose their level of quantum existence on the in- in the reality. I mean, whatever that means anymore. I'm not sure what the reality means. Does that mean 3D and three dimensions? That means like the physical reality, like what's actually happening to you, or is it a mental state? Is reality what you're thinking about? I mean, the Baal Shem Tov, one of our great sages, said, "Whatever you're thinking about, you are actually there." You think about whatever it is. In other words, that your thoughts are what's really important, not that you're sitting at a table having a cup of coffee. It's what you're thinking about at the time. But there are many different ways to look at a moment, and to dissect, like, what's important about this moment. Is it my thoughts? Is it how I'm feeling? Is it what who I'm actually talking to and what I'm saying? I mean, there are many different ways to analyze the same moment. What am I experiencing? What am I smelling? How does it look? All these things. What memories does it bring up? Like, usually, when I'm faced with something that's new and I get a memory of something else, to me it's a sign that's how I can navigate through this experience. That's, in other words, like, the thought stream will shoot me a picture telling of something else that happened that's somewhat similar, in order to give me a way to navigate through the next section of this experience. It costs nothing to be kind, right? Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you, Red Hawk. I appreciate it. I knew somebody named Red Hawk a long time ago. I can't remember where, but it rings a bell. I was still thinking about ranch. Humans will not be replaced, right? Ranch, a lot of work. Yeah, yes. Owning your own place is a lot of work. It's funny. I was a little bit critical of my parents because after they sold their house and bought a boat, and the boat sank, and I think they had some insurance money maybe, but they did not buy a new place. They rented for the rest of their life, and I was a little critical of them. But now I understand. After owning a house for over 20 years, I understand that it's really nice to just rent, not have to deal with banks with mortgages and all that other stuff, and just leave less of a trace and be less involved with the physical maintenance of a place. All right, so let's get to some of this intel, this juicy intel that Gila sent me. She sent some really cool stuff, as always. Okay, so uh, let's see. The first one was just classic, and then we will try to go to the other. Oh, she sent me a lot of good stuff. She sent me some really beautiful things. Okay, this is a later one, but let me go to the first one that I think was is really okay. Here, this one. Let's see if I can. When the normies wake up and realize that we have been fooled. Oh yeah, so this is a very different. This is a very different slant on things. So but I think this is really one of the versions of reality that one of the timelines that it really resonates. That it makes sense that a certain amount of energy could end up in this thought stream. When the normies wake up and realize they have been fooled, betrayed, and poisoned, they will rage. The desire for vengeance will risk the collapse of society into a bloodbath. That is why all the justice has to be completed out of sight before the mass awakening. This is I really this little paragraph really says so much. Like, so they're saying that there is a mass awakening approaching us. So that goes kind of against what I was saying about how everyone will manifest their own reality, because if when the people who are not involved with our thought stream see us living this kind of life, of course they'll want to join us. So okay, let me just finish this. I'm going to start again. When the normies wake up and realize they have been fooled, betrayed, and poisoned, then they will rage. The desire for vengeance will risk the collapse of society into a bloodbath. That is why all the justice has to be completed out of sight before the mass awakening. Our patience has rewards. It is also why you need to be an army of prepared patriots who can prove that this was all pre planned. Things are under control, so sit down and calm down and let us hold you as you shake and shudder in fury. Without 17 and the Anons, it would be the end of humanity. So that's a profound statement that the people, as they wake up, they'll be furious and they won't know what to make of it, and they won't understand. I mean, the one thing I did learn on my trip, whenever I would mention that there is a force behind the scenes that's doing good, usually I just get kind of like a okay kind of reaction. But I spoke to a woman as I was standing in line somewhere, and I said that things are going to get really good, and she started asking me like, well, like what? And I started telling her about Nasara Jasara and how we're going to go to a gold and silverback currency, and how we're going to have prosperity, and how all the organizations, the matrix that's been holding us at bay, that's been holding us as slaves for thousands of years, the medical system, the financial system, the pharmaceutical system, the educational system, the big tech, big Hollywood, big sports, all these things that have been holding us down will be gone essentially. We'll have 10% of the government. She was like, I'm just saying that like different people react in different ways to receiving this kind of information. But she was just like, yes, she says, that's great. I'm so excited. I mean, I don't always get that kind of reaction. And that's why I kind of wanted to step back a little bit during this time, because I'm dealing with people about ASEA, and we were there to bond around a sea. And I, like I said, I love the CEO. This Tyler was really just saying, he says it's about people, it's about money, it's about supporting people, it's about encouraging people, it's about this. This is exactly what I like to hear. I mean, I'm involved in a company that wants to encourage and wants to help others grow. I think that's commendable. At least, I mean, it's so much better than what usually you would experience. So I really like a CN. I'm getting to know the people. They came out with a new product for uh, a drink that you can drink, and it helps your skin and your collagen. It's really pretty amazing stuff. And I tried out the mask, the mud mask. But anyway, okay, so that I don't want to get into that, but I thought that I really think this is a profound statement that when they wake up, they will be very angry, and and that behind the scenes, all these things are taking place. That's another like reassurance that people are being arrested. I mean, look at JB, look at the big guy in charge. I mean, you can clearly see it's not the same guy. I mean, anybody with half a sense, and if they look at the two pictures before and after, you see it's not really JB, and JB was taken down to somewhere and removed. That's what we've heard. Okay, so let me get to the next one. This next one is also very profound, and this comes from the ghost page, Benjamin Fulford. This comes from Benjamin Fulford, which I actually I subscribe to his information because I like what he says. He has a good way of summarizing things. Okay, so it says, and some of this I don't really agree with, but and I'm not sure how I'm going to read the stuff that I don't agree with, but I'll just read it and I'll comment on it later about. Okay, before I read it, let me just say like this, that some people are like set. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think people are more flexible than we give them credit for. I was going to say that like some people they're in their world and there's nothing you can do to reach them. But you know what? People change. People do change and they do grow. So this is from Benjamin Fulford. It says Israel last. And this is an expression we've been hearing a lot on 17, that they're saving Israel for last. But there's some very important points in this analysis. The war between dark and light is a war between Satan and God, between the reptilian bloodline of Satan and the human bloodline. Now, this is where I don't agree. You know, and I don't want to get into it, but they're saying the J guy. I'm saying like I don't get it. It's not a bloodline, but anyway, that's their mindset. Let me just say that's their mindset. It's not my mindset. Israel's last because the C medical thing, exposed the corruption in our healthcare and political systems. Israel will expose the root of all corruption and evil in our religious systems. Now that's amazing. And I'm thinking more and more that there has to be a complete analysis. We have to find out the truth. I was looking at the maps of Tartaria from 1652, I think it was. I mean, we do not have any idea what our history is, and even more so with the religions, because the religions are used to blackmail and lead people, and not necessarily in a good way. The revelation. Okay, so Israel's the last. Israel will expose the root of all corruption. I'm not sure why this would come from Israel and evil in our religious systems, because I don't know why would the Vatican be corrected by Israel? It doesn't make sense. But anyway, the revelation of the hijacking of scripture by Satan centuries ago, and I'm not commenting on that in related relation to Torah, but I'm just reading this. The light on this planet was dimmed by the false light of darkness. The snake entered the Garden of Eden and went undercover in the snake pit. The head of the snake is the V country near Rome, the Va, you know what? The body of the snake formed Silk Road leading to Wuhan, where it spread out a venom. And the Silk Road, I think they're basically talking about traffic. Hiding in the snake pit in Israel, the head of the snake is a Vatican. Hiding in the snake pit in Israel, where Satanism hijacked parts of scripture and became the false light that fooled humanity in evil frequencies of fear, shame, and guilt. Now, I mean, anyway. I'm not analyzing it, but you guys know how I feel. I mean, we're people of the Old Testament. Whatever. Separated from God and love, we all are. That I agree with. Separated in religions, race, politics, creating dark for centuries. Separated by a small group who benefited from the controlling of the energies of the people. The small group, the satanic elite, the Illuminati, the 13 bloodline families from the Vatican, all the royal families of Europe and the Baltic and Russian countries claim their ancestor was Wotan or Odin. Wotan or Odin was a pendragon, serpent, snake, reptilian. 13 royal families are reptilian hybrids who are shapeshifters posing as humans. That's probably the strongest language I've ever heard. I mean, I've seen other things like that, but that's for a kind of a mainstream. I mean, I'm not saying Benjamin Fulford is a mainstreamer, but he's more out there than some of the other patriots. 13 royal families are reptilian hybrids who are shapeshifters posing as humans. Serpent symbolism is all over. I hesitate to mention certain religions, but it's all over certain serpent says. I'm sorry. Serpent symbolism is all over the religion that comes out of the country V near Rome. In St. Peter's Basilica in the V, the Pope literally sits in the mouth of the serpent as the tongue and preaches deception. Okay, this is just his opinion. Now, this part to me is I don't know what I have no idea what they're telling. What the Druze bloodline, I mean, are descendants of Yisro. That it just makes no sense. Uh, the priest of Midian, because the descendants of Yisro were Moses's kids, the Levium. So maybe Benjamin Fulford doesn't really understand the lineage involved here, but he's saying it's that these were Druze. I mean, it clearly states in the Torah that Yisro was Moses's father-in-law. Okay, I mean, you don't get any more clear than that, unless he's saying that this is all made up and he doesn't believe it. I don't know. There has to be some truth in the Bible. We can't just say the whole thing is phony baloney. Now, this is another thing. The 16th president of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln, descended from the Kaluni family. I mean, but again, we're not really talking about holy. I don't know, where he's talking about holy bloodlines in terms of democratic or a constitutional republic. That's not doesn't seem right. But anyway, let me just keep going. In 1855, ISIS was formed by kings of Morocco and Libya, Hassan family, together with the Royal British family. They signed the Mohammed Mohammedi law, which was to, to kill the ones from J. 16 years later, they merged with Skull and Bones. Rothschild, Schiff, Rockefellers, Scherf, aka Bush, Kissinger's, etc. Skull and Bones, they had to do with the president that had some, was the opposite of life in 1963. 1855, ISIS formed by the Usi family linked to the UK royals. 1861, merged with Skull and Crossbones. 1870 to 1930, Big Pharma, the Act of England, the Titanic Olympic sinking, who was on board, what really happened, Federal Reserve, the Bolshevik Revolution, Operation Paperclip, Mockingbird, Israel formed 1848, 1948, 1949, the intelligence agencies were formed. Whistleblower General Flynn exposed the Gulen terrorist network. Flynn discovered that the BO admin was creating funding and arming them, people who were waving these flags. Now, this is something that these actions were taking place in Gaza. BO, with the help of the three-letter agencies and his jihadist cronies, were seeking to top Assad in Syria. We're seeking to take out Assad. These treasonous administrators created funding for ISIS. The U.S. jihadists morphed into the Arab Spring, destabilized the Middle East, and created the orchestrated migration crisis. Hillary took part in the launching of the Arab Spring as Secretary of State under the BO admin. Flynn blew the whistle on the involvement in this terrorist organization, and by default, all the people from the deep state and the agencies. Now circle back to Israel today. Do not be fooled. Now, this I agree with. These buildings fully collapsed in Gaza Strip, being hit from one missile, are controlled demolitions. Deep state operators inside both Israel and the Arab camps. We don't we meaning Jewish people don't really like to use the word Palestine, because Palestinian is an English term. It was made up by the English. They called it Palestine, and we don't necessarily understand why they did that. Why it's not called Israel? Because clearly in the Old Testament, Israel was given to the Jewish people. Um, okay, so these buildings fully collapsed. Deep state operators, both inside of Israel and the Arab camps, have been infiltrated long ago by the three-letter agencies. I agree with that. Israel handles are, in fact, the three-letter agencies and the 13 bloodline families. Dominion servers have a lot to hide, from trafficking to Gilligan's Island to banks from Rome. And the Khazarian mafia controlling Ukraine, really the Nazis from Germany, connections between the snake pit of corruption by Israel elites run deep into United States, three-letter agencies. This is as close to spot on as you can get. Okay, so somebody else posted this and was saying this is really on. So I totally agree personally that the situation, the back and forth, the skirmishes, the attacks, the blowing up of buildings is a show financed by the dudes. They want us to believe that this is going on. That keeps people full of hatred, full of anger, full of fear, and that keeps people thinking these guys did it and the other guys did it, and it's just. Personally, I think it's pretty crazy. All right, let me just see. I thought there was one more post that Gila had. Just see. Okay, I'm just going to go with those two quotes because I'm having technical difficulties here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so these are some things that are really good to be thinking about. Yeah, and Aguila wrote that the Drew's bloodline is Jethro. That's what Fulford wrote, but we don't really understand that because he was the father-in-law of Moses. So it was clearly the ancestors are Jewish, and Moses was a Midianite, not an Israelite. Jews are Israelites, not Jews. Those with Moses were Jews. That was what Whiplash says, but he keeps saying that the Jews are the real Jews, but and Fulford says they're from Yisro. Yeah, so they're confused because I mean Yisro is fundamental importance of the combination of Jewish and non-Jewish um, let's say thought streams, because Yisro was an idol worshiper. He understood and mastered many different traditions, and he said, I'm going with you guys. I'm going with my son-in-law Moses, and Moses's kids were from the daughter of Yisro. So I'm not really totally understanding where these they're coming from, but they relate. I think they do this because right. So Gila said the snake entered the garden and went undercover in the snake pit. The head of the snake is the Vatican. The body of the snake forms Silk Road, heading to Wuhan, where it spread out its venom. Hiding in the snake pit in Israel, where Satanism hijacked parts of Scripture and became the false light that fooled humanity, and evil frequencies of fear, shame, and guilt. Now, is that just in the Old Testament? Is that not in the New Testament? Is the new so is the are these people saying that the New Testament is beyond reproach, and that it's a real, but the Old Testament is suspect? I don't know. It would seem to me that the Vatican and those Illuminati types would have their hands in all of this. I mean, if they rewrote all of history, we don't know about Tartaria. Nobody ever mentions Tartaria. This was apparently the ruling, like the leading civilization on the planet that built all these incredible buildings. So I don't know. Hopefully we will find out soon which end is up. But these are really basic things. So okay, so let me go now to um, a little more general intel. All right, since it's been a couple days, let me just check with the white hats. But they all have this thing about the the bloodline of Jesus, but Jesus was Jewish. I don't I'm not really following their thinking. And it doesn't seem like Whiplash is able to explain himself very well. So I don't know. I don't know if these are emotional based concepts, but I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm just saying that like people can take the same story and it can mean different things. Okay, let me just see how much of this I haven't read. Okay, for over a year and a half, patriots lost hope in ever expecting Gilligan to come to light. But we've been telling you and increasing the story that the saga was only just beginning. I told you the subpoenas that were sent out to the most powerful people in the world, people like Sergey Brin, and the hundred top richest men in the world could not buy their way out or power their way out, nor stop the Virgin Islands trials of Gilligan. a lot of big names. I've been telling you the military is going to leak the Gilligan's Island files and evidence through the media and several sources. Now, this has begun on a massive level. As Congress held meetings last week on trafficking and senators giving sworn testimony, batches of information has leaked of the three-letter agency that starts with a C director meeting with Gilligan, as well as with Billy G. Microsoft. Now the leaks are continuing as the Wall Street Journal is releasing the second batch of information through the Gilligan's Island leaks. But you will have to understand the Wall Street Journal is a division of Dow Jones, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, and he is the one who removed Tucker Carlson. So what's going on? With Rupert allowing WSJ to release the Gilligan's Island leaks. Why did Rupert allow Tucker Carlson to stay on so long in Fox News and Red Pill Nation over 7 years? Here's the truth, and I've been saying this for over 2 years. The White Hats have captured most of the deep state top bad actors like Rupert and JB and Nancy and Zelensky. It was always in the plan to capture the three-letter agency that starts with a C, Mockingbird News Network, and use them inside turning points, as was Twitter. So we're seeing Mr. T being interviewed on CNN. We heard months ago that CNN was being bought out by a friend of Mr. T, and they would be using the axe to fell the tree. Remember that the same thing that convinced everyone that all these things that about Mr. T and this continual barrage of defaming Mr. T, they're going to use the same platforms to bring him back, which is so cool. But anyway, okay, so the information about Gilligan's Island is hitting the news and the handling of large sums of Billy G's Microsoft money. Okay, telling you that they're going after Microsoft. They are going after the deep state military intelligence. They're going after the elite little one ring. The evilness in the NYC of Gilligan's home in NYC is connected to a huge, massive blackmail ring. Okay, so Rupert was trying hard to suppress information and help the deep state. Sometime he was forced to let Tucker Carlson red pill America for years, and now he is forced to let go of the Gilligan's Island information. We expect the Wall Street Journal to do a cover up in leaking names so they can cover up other names. Deep State is pushing for this idea, but no matter what happens, Rupert will collapse on his own corporations as Fox now lost 52% of its viewers. And behind the scenes, the military alliance is pulling the strings. Behind the scenes, white hat feds and military are leaking the Gilligan's Island info and data. EU is going to be brought into it. Banks, intelligence at Jeffrey's home. So there's a lot going on, right? Let me just see what you guys are thinking. Yeah, thank you, Adas Ariel. Okay, let me just see one thing here. So we got some new info. Um, okay. Yes, yes, I am busy. Yes. Okay. 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 So let's see. I'm sorry. I just lost it there for 1 second. I'm seeing a friend in Canada. They're still really bearing down on people about this, proving that you had the thing. And here's something between between the virus and this thing. Mr. T prevented more deaths. The lockdowns didn't last for 5 to 10 years like they wanted. But I want everyone to know that what a friend of mine, a friend of the channel, just sent a piece of fresh intel of her own taping of how she was harassed in Canada at a restaurant, and they wanted to see her card. And I also want to add to that that my mother just got a BOOSTER, a boost. I'm like, why, mom? Why would you do such a thing? And she's like, well, they wanted us to. I'm like, why are they still doing this with all the evidence and all the proof? It's very hard for me to understand. Um, it's very hard for me to understand why this is still going on. But and why people just don't. I was speaking to this really nice lady sitting next to me on the train, and I was like, what do you feel about the medical situation? She's like, it's fine. People got the thing. It's to help protect them. And I don't know how to react to that. I mean, it's just um more information. Yeah, they still have. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't. You know, I think this goes beyond trying to wake up people. I think that and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Yeah, I know, Melody. It's horrific. I'm trying. I can't. My mother does not understand why I'm upset. She's like, Ellie, it is what it is. I mean, I got another one. I'm like, you know, I mean, she's 92. Um, but Yeah, they just keep doing this. I don't see what I don't know if this is they're doing this in desperation because they have nothing else going for they're under fire, but it doesn't seem that way. I mean, my friend Tally just sent me a picture, like a video. She's sitting in a restaurant in Montreal, presumably, and a bunch of cops came in and asked them for proof that they had been this, and it's against the law. It's against the law for them to do this. So who are these dudes? Maybe these are like a clonal army from down below that they're sending up. I mean, I don't know. But I do know that we need to wake up. Everyone, as many people as possible need to wake up. Anyway, let's keep going here. We have 700 peeps. That's really nice for just coming back. Thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. And okay, Okay, I want to look at a different piece of intel now. This thing with Yisro, man. I mean, I don't know. It, I just don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know. It's like it's like let's I mean, I don't know. We have to come together. People have to come together. Regardless of whatever religious faith they have, we have to come together. We can't keep this bickering going on forever because it's a real enemy that really thrives off us being divided. Okay, so and then we have the coronation, and I think something's going to happen with that as well. World governments are hiding the fact that there are lands unexplored and unseen by the human eye beyond the ice wall of Antarctica. They're saying Democrats spend trillions on bank runs. Okay, so here's an interesting clip. Many people are not Many people do not fully realize this, so I must say it explicitly. The Great War to end all wars is currently underway. It will not start a day, a week, a month, or a year from now. It has already here and has been underway for some time. Those committed to all the future wars they have planned are in a desperate information war struggle with those attempting to expose them to the world. Take your place at the front in the information war. Do your part to end the endless. So they're saying that we are the digital warriors, and that's what we're doing here. U.S. government may freeze American bank withdrawal as currency panic and capital flight mounts. Macro guru Hugh Hendry newsbreak. Hedge fund manager and macroeconomic expert Hugh Hendry just issued a major warning on the UN banking system and the economy as a whole. I mean, we know they're in trouble. Take the oath, mission forward. I do solemnly swear that, I'm just reading this, I'm not swearing. I will support and defend the Constitution of the U.S. against enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I will make this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Where we go one, we go all. Says Clarence Thomas will preside over the Nuremberg 2.0 trials. It says that there's a question about an orange juice called Simply Orange, that they're being sued. Some decoding this morning. Kerry Fraud Exposure Group, channel Notari Permalum, World War One, World War Two. They're saying the gematria of it in a certain way is 68. Still working on it. Susan, days after recognizing Donetsk and Luhansk as independent states, Russian President Vladimir Putin orders a full-scale invasion of the country U. 2/24/22. That's February. I don't know. I'm. This is too confusing. ISO 222 will gradually become the global standard for payment messaging on high-value systems as major clearing systems migrate to this standard. Look at drop 86, 5th of November, Delta. Yeah, I mean, remember the 5th of November. That's all I'm going to say. There were 3 submarines in Antarctica this morning, I believe. The submarines, nicknamed boomers, gained the silent service description because they are designed to glide undetected, and their port calls have seldom been disclosed, much less trumpeted, by their usually taciturn Tacturn commanders. Each of the subs carries up to 20 D5 Trident ballistic missiles. The U.S. has occasionally showcased its submarines in the past, but the pace picked up this last year with publicized port visits by nuclear armed Ohio class submarines as well as Los Angeles class subs carrying conventional Tomahawk cruise missiles. All right, interesting. Mr. Trump is being interviewed by a reporter, and the reporter is saying something to the effect that you're saying that you don't like her looks, and that's why you're not interested in her. And he says, "No," he says, I just don't, I don't like the overall packaging." He says, "In fact, if you were up for this position, I also wouldn't pick you because I don't like you either." Just- anyway, not all right. Searching for. Let me just see this. This is Hunter's Week, right? This is an important thing to remember. This is the week. Okay, so there are a lot of things coming out in Congress. I mean, a lot of reports, a lot of investigations. I think there's a lot of indictments, unsealed indictments being acted upon behind the scenes. You so we must know our history to understand the future. Yeah, that's good. It was so funny, right? No filter on Trump. Yeah, that was a really funny. He's just so matter of fact. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this kind of stuff going on now. I mean, I don't know why it's all coming up again, but it's just we're seeing this a lot. We're seeing this on a lot of different fronts. People really um, rising again, putting that, throwing down the gauntlet. Right, can't base anything on history, right? It's absolutely true. It's a fresh start. Yeah, we have to figure out what I don't know. Susan Powell, she disappeared, right? Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, at a warehouse, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like we'll call it a night, but we're back in the proverbial saddle, and I should be here in the morning, God willing, and we'll continue where we picked up. It took me a little while to get acclimated to get my camera was, I took my camera with me, my microphone was down, so I apologize that I started late, but I was just trying to like get everything in place. Yeah, hang in there, Tanya. I'm so sorry you have to go through this. Thanks, Gerard. Yeah, a lot of people are stepping down. We have to reinvent our communities. I think that's really true. My pleasure, man. Thanks, T. Miller. Yeah, I miss you guys too, and I miss being here. Tucker Carlson knows where a lot of the bodies are buried. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, they're really pulling out the stops right now. Freedom in the new morning. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna get some sleep because I got to catch up from last night. But I'm really happy to be home and back in my own place where I can control things a bit more. But it was I want to thank you guys for putting up with me taking a few days off. It was really just nice to be like in a different mindset for a few days. Running out of patience. Yeah. All right, guys. So yeah, we're doing good. I mean, we had a lot of peeps tonight, and we'll just keep it up. We'll, I'm talking about some different strategies with my friend from Nepal, but that'll come out soon. Thanks. God has yeah right Democrat. It's good for me. Yeah, yeah. It is good to get step outside a little bit. All right, guys. So we'll catch you in the morning. And again, thanks for everything. And yeah, it's going to be HB's week. It's going to be a hunter's week. And just keep the matrix. Just keep. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow, but really shepherd your thoughts, watch your thoughts. If you're thinking negative things, try to get out of that thought stream. I am also thinking about kind of loosely about I used to have a bunch of meditation tapes. I might try to do that again. I just I have a lot of I always have plans, and then it's what I can act on. All right, guys, we'll see you in the morning, and thanks for coming back, and thanks for allowing me to have a few days, and we'll just keep chugging on. It should be a very interesting week. Okay. God bless, guys. See ya.